to the question, what if?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of Animation Fascination, where we're going to be talking about the third episode of What If. And today we have a new guest with us. Welcome, Justin.
Hello.
And then a bit of housekeeping before we get into this day's episode is yesterday, and Stanford and I kind of totally blanked that Wendy Lawson was indeed Marvel. So the thing that I was like, I only have one nitpick for this episode. There's not really a nitpick because the backstory to that was in Captain Marvel, and I forgot. So, sorry. But yeah, how did everybody like this episode today? I guess we'll start with Justin, and then go to Stanford, and then I'll come out around last with my takes.
It was a lot of fun. I found I had a good time with it. I enjoy Happy Hogan as a character, and getting to see him, in this kind of way, it was fun. And you know what? I think I said it in our group chat. I'm always down for more Kat Denning in the MCU. So
Darcy's
I'm
great.
happy with her. I find her always have good comedic chops, even voice acting wise. So it was a lot of fun. She was a lot stronger than some of the other people voice acting, and that's going to be my nitpick later on. But yeah,
Nice.
enjoyed it.
How about you, Stanford?
Yeah, I mean, Justin, I had a lot of fun. This just seemed like such a classic Christmas episode. I love the homage to, at least for me, it seemed like there was a big homage to Die Hard.
Oh yeah.
To A Christmas Story, probably other things, and same. Kat Dennings, MVP, right? I mean, she is really funny, and they also, I thought, gave her. It was a good script. I thought they gave good lines, and there were a lot of good jokes. It was fun. It was
Great
a lot of fun.
script for it, and Sam Rockwell too. Let's just
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
say how amazing. I want more Justin Hammer.
I do too.
Just to get.
Yeah, he was great. Although the one thing I will say with Sam Rockwell or Justin Hammer in animation is, unless it's mocapped, Sam Rockwell dancing, they can't quite keep up with how fluid and liquid Sam Rockwell's dancing is, because I could see it in there a little bit. I was like, oh man, you could see how kind of rigid it was a little bit sometimes with the dancing. But
that man can move, so
yeah. If you want to see, I mean, obviously if you saw Iron Man 2 already, you already saw there among many other films that he's done that in now. But yeah, I enjoyed it too. Like you guys said, with some of the the references in there, I liked the Christmas Story one too, just because I liked within universe the actor Peter Billingsley, who was Ralphie in A Christmas Story, is in Iron Man, as well as his character shows up again in Far From Home. So I thought it was a nice little. I mean, they've done that before already, I guess, with making Lebowski references and other references to other stuff that actors within. I mean, at this point, there's not really an actor that they've made references stuff to that hasn't been in the MCU. So you kind of have to be like, that's in one of those what if universes where that actor doesn't exist. It's like the Last Action Hero rule where Sylvester Stallone was in the Terminator movies instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
yeah.
And I also appreciated
the Ted Lasso episode, a reference to show up in an MCU.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Then we got a
Hercules.
whole thing
Yeah. I also appreciated Darcy making the blockbuster reference, having worked there for such a long period of time. She's like, hold on, let me scan my mind blockbuster shelf to try to find it.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy just the straight up call outs and stuff too, Die Hard with oh, I'm the original Bill Johnson. so yeah, in there. So Stanford and I have been kind of talking about this with the other two episodes too. It's been interesting, and you kind of said it too, Justin, is that a lot of these have seemingly had a lot more of the actors from the films doing their voices in these. So like this one, we got Kat Dennings as Darcy again. We had Kobe Smulders as Maria Hill, Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton Hawkeye, and then we also obviously had John Favreau as Happy Hogan, Chris Hemsworth as Thor,
Mark
and Mark
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. And as far as reprising their roles as characters, and then we got Lake Bell again as
Lake
Natasha
Bell.
Romanoff, who did Natasha's voice in season 1. We got Steve Rogers as Josh or flip that, reverse it. Josh Keaton as Steve Rogers, who did the voice of Steve in last season, who's also played Spider-Man in animated series as well, and Hal Jordan. So he's got a good.
He's done a lot.
Resume of superhero.
Didn't he also voice Superman in something that it's like?
Yeah. Or
him
no.
And...
I don't think so, because I remember specifically recently, like Yuri Lowenthal saying to.
It was Yuri. That's what I was thinking. That's
yeah. It was like because it was like Yuri Lowenthal, Jack Quaid, and Nicolas Cage are the 3 actors that have played both Peter Parker and Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the last one that I already mentioned was Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. So in this episode, what was like some of the stuff that stood out to you guys as far as like some of like the sequences that we got in here, like some of the overt Christmassy references? Like, what do you think, Justin?
I like the whole like getting the whole thing ready for a Christmas party, that whole setup, and having to. We all know that one person at our workplace that's, you gets in the way, and so, or not quite as useful as they think they are. So you go send them off to do medial work while you're really focused on doing everything else. I like that. That's Darcy for Happy. That he just like, no, we need maraschino cherries. We need more of those. And
yeah,
that was a lot of fun. And just, I think Hammer's sequence of coming in too was a lot of fun. Being like the catering service or like bringing in that kind of stuff for the party. It was cute.
Yeah.
How
about you,
I thought it was a lot of fun.
So I thought Happy Hogan's transformation into, I guess, what, the freak he gets called, right? Actually, it was pretty funny. And then it was how just gradual it was.
The staggering of it.
Yeah. The leg, the arm. And it was just at one point, it was just one regular leg and then like the torso and his head.
And so that cracked me up. And again, I always love the Hulkbuster, and so that Hammer kind of was able to summon that, and anyway, I thought that fight was great.
I also like the robot Iron Man suits being back.
Yes,
from Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I liked the whole sequence with the Iron Legion with that, and I saw someone post something about that recently, where it was like. Marvel went R-rated because of like, so like if you had changed like the oil in that to be like red and it was it basically would have looked like it would have looked like a scene out of Invincible essentially.
That's what I was thinking of, Mark. Is like, is this Invincible? Just with with oil, rather than with blood.
Change the Iron Legion to like actual like human beings or aliens, and the oil to blood, and that would be a scene out of Invincible, basically.
Only for Invincible. I think that scene exists later on in the series with multiples of robot being destroyed.
Yeah, so that was a pretty awesome sequence, and it was there was some fun stuff in there which like I didn't even think of until like Justin Hammer says it, where he like calls Happy Hulk Hogan, and I was like, oh, yes. that makes sense.
It's funny. Yeah.
I was like, that was pretty good.
I wonder how much they let like Sam Rockwell ad-lib.
I know. I was reading that too, Justin. If Sam Rockwell was just able just to riff, and they went with it. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's that joke where he's like talking about. He's like, well, I'm gonna go sit on Tony's throne, and I'm gonna, and I'm not gonna flush if you catch my drift. And I was like, what the hell?
I know.
I feel like only Sam Rockwell could get away with that, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there was one of the jokes I thought was funny here too is it was like the smallest of nods to Jingle All the Way, where they had Clint and Bruce at like I think it's maybe meant to be the same mall or shopping area that like Tony and Steve were doing their Elf and Santa Claus thing at.
I
Um,
assume so.
yeah, but where like it's like shows like these two toy shelves, and like
Yes.
I like how like and the MCU is like even in on the joke of like making fun of like Hawkeye at this point, where that there's that one shelf it's like almost completely sold out of Iron Man toys, like the Turbo Man,
Yeah.
and then the other shelf is Hawkeye, which would be like I guess Booster. I was like nobody likes Booster, but,
Nobody likes Hawkeye.
Never likes Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Hawkeye's awesome. And speaking of that too, I was speaking of this with one of our friends off of the mic too. Is that like how much like actual holiday content the MCU has now between Iron Man 3, the Guardians holiday special, that
Hawkeye
whole
season
season of
one.
Hawkeye, yeah, and then now this episode
This.
of What If.
Yeah.
There's like a plethora of stuff you can watch in there. And with that too, like with the episode being like so centered on Happy Hogan, I was kind of, and there was so many like Christmas movie, holiday movie references in there. I was actually kind of surprised there wasn't any kind of like overt, at least that I caught, Elf kind of mention in there at all, with the fact that John Favreau directed
John Favreau, yeah.
and that was more or less the movie that helped him get his spot and chance to do Iron Man.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think that, at least not that I noticed. Did you notice any, Justin, too? Any Elf?
Again, not that I really noticed. Besides for, like, I mean, there is maraschino cherries in Elf, but it's not drawn attention to like that.
Yeah.
It's just a sugary treat.
And Santa Claus is in there, but
Yeah,
that would have also been interesting as if they had actually. I mean, that could be like another potential what if down the road, is if they have like the mutant Santa Claus in a what if episode. Maybe if they do like a season 3 or something like that in the season, like that could be another holiday episode option there too. Outside of that, was there anything else that like stood out to you guys in this episode that like you really wanted to talk about? I guess Justin, you said you had some nitpicks. What were those?
I have one nitpick, and I think it's the same nitpick that I remember hearing about and feeling too with season 1. It's just like sometimes the A-list actors can't quite do the job of those voice actors. Where like I remember Sebastian Stan in season 1 wasn't quite up to snuff as some of the other voice actors in that season, and then I find Colby Smulders was just not delivering as her Maria Hill on this. It was just too robotic, too wooden, at least for me.
Maybe it was Gravik actually in this episode. He'd already taken
There
over.
we go.
He'd already taken over as her. R.I.P. Maria Hill.
Yeah. I
Going
guess,
out
yeah, I guess.
in Secret Invasion.
Yeah, Secret Invasion. It's taken out.
But how about you, Stanford? Was there anything that like that you had nitpicks about, or just stuff that you really really enjoyed from within the episode?
I don't think I necessarily had a nitpick, although I do agree. I was wondering about Maria Hill. I was wondering if either they just gave her just lousy lines or she was having issues, trying to deliver those. But I really liked the soundtrack on this episode too. I mean, I think the soundtrack is strong on these other ones as well. But there were so many Christmas music motifs that they inserted in. I thought in a really clever and enjoyable way.
Yeah, that was one of the things I liked about Hawkeye a lot too. Is all the stuff they were able to incorporate into that soundtrack for that series as well. So
You did a good job with making it feel very not happening at Christmas, but is Christmas,
Yeah,
versus like Iron Man 3 where it's just happening at Christmas.
that's true. I liked the framing of this one too, with like how the Watcher kind of started out. I was like, here's one of my favorite Yuletide tales. It's like,
Yes,
it's like,
I like that too.
I also like to rewind and be like, okay, maybe I should set you up a little bit before this.
oh yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
well, yeah, because at first too, like when they did that, I thought that, and with like what we thought was going to happen in the episode, I was like, oh, that's going to be Justin Hammer.
I
But
did
that
too,
happened.
Mark. Yeah, I just said
Yeah.
that's gonna be Hammer, but
I felt like I felt that too, but I was at the same time just like the voice didn't sound right to be Hammer.
yeah.
Yeah, and then
I love the
go ahead.
elf and Santa Claus of Iron Man and Cap in that shot too. With
Oh
the-
yeah, like they redid the shot from Age of Ultron, but it's all
Yeah.
of them like in their
in their
holiday
holiday
attire.
costume.
Yes.
Yeah, with so I think like Natasha was wearing like the Nutcracker ballerina suite,
Yeah.
and then Steve had on the elf stuff.
Yeah.
Tony, well, I mean Tony's in the Iron Man suit, so I guess maybe he's got the Santa stuff on in the
I
suit
feel like
still.
he's got that kind of stuff on
Yeah.
underneath.
And then I think
Clint's got his sweater.
Clint just has a sweater on. That would have been funny if it was just the same sweater that he has on with the cat on it from the Hawkeye series. But
That
they
would
probably
be
had
cool.
already produced and like animated the stuff well before that was even maybe shot, is what I assume. And then speaking of that too, I really liked Bruce's holiday sweater, the chemistry.
I also enjoyed Bruce just being like, "Yeah, you guys got this."
You're good. just eating the cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed all that stuff in here too, and I think outside of that, I also like in that opening too with like how it like pans out and it's almost like a snow globe that you see it in, and with that, and then like basically Thor just shows up at the end, and he's like, oh wait, did I miss the party?
With his Santa hat, right?
Yeah, and it also seems like in this universe possibly that Happy is stuck that way. He's like, you have a way to reverse this, right? He's like, haha, yeah, my security guard, everybody.
Yeah,
It's true. I didn't think about it that way.
yeah. I wondered about that too. If Happy was gonna be stuck with this, and in this universe.
I'd love to see yearly installments though of like a Happy Christmas tale almost every year going forward, or at least for a couple years, and them recreating different Christmas nostalgic properties and that.
Yeah. So I guess before we kind of close this out and round it up was there anything else that you guys wanted to bring up, or anything else that stood out to you, or if you're gonna slot this into like your holiday viewing rotation for the years to come now too? I'll go with Justin and Stanford.
I just want to say like this season I feel has been a lot stronger than the season one in general, and it's been a lot more fun watching it daily, and then being able to feel like part of something with between your guys is doing these shorts here and then other YouTube channels having something daily. That it's just a lot of fun, and I think it's a nice little treat during this time of year. I've had more fun than I did with season one.
I'd agree with that. Quickly before we go to you, Stanford, if people for watching the video, our friend Vactor just asked us, what would you have done if RDJ had voiced Iron Man in this episode?
I think I would have been just as shocked as I was for Chris Hemsworth coming in at the last minute for just those throwaway lines, and it's just like, I guess they really do love those characters, kind of thing. Where I know Chris Hemsworth comes back for these what ifs often enough that it's fun. He loves that character, and I feel like RDJ is doing that would have been in a similar boat. And then maybe Favreau might have pulled some strings for that too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It would have been a happy surprise. Like kind of like no way.
Unintended.
And I wonder if he ever will, but still, that'd be cool. Be super cool. And I love this. I thought this episode was a blast, and I concur. I thought these 3 episodes have been strong, and of season 2, and also I just love this. Mark and I talked about this too. Just this 1 episode a day. It's cool. This is just for this time of year, it's great. Thumbs up from me.
Yeah, it's
like
almost like a
Disney Plus advent calendar.
Yeah,
yes.
I was saying that to Stanford too. Like with their social content, they've like been doing like this thing where they've been releasing some stuff. I didn't see what the one is for tomorrow.
I didn't either. I haven't checked.
They released the holiday party playlist for this on Spotify, which I thought was interesting since Disney has such a tie to like kind of Apple with so many things that it wasn't like an Apple Music playlist. But yeah, I've been enjoying this. I'll add this to the rotation too. And I don't know. I just, like you guys have said, I've been thinking and enjoying each of these episodes too, and thinking how strong they are. I mean, I enjoyed the first season too, but we'll ask you, Justin, as we wrap out. I had asked Stanford this in the past few episodes, is for what's happened so far and how we know kind of like last season, like everything kind of coalesced in the later episodes into like some characters we saw earlier in that season showed up again in the last few episodes. Is there anything that's happened so far within these first few, or specific versions of characters in these first few, that you'd like to see if there is something else like that later on in this season for that to happen with?
I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see that childhood Quill like 88 Avengers team just show up again in some way.
Yeah.
I enjoyed like that so much, seeing that group together. I think it would be kind of I don't know, I think it'd take away from this if we saw Happy's the Freak show up in like an Avengers team. But other than that, like I feel like, I'm just curious how things would play out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, will they bring in stuff from, like, I could see Nebula with with her Guardians coming into something too, and I think that would be really cool. Seems to be heavy, almost team related, this first 3 block.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge, but there is clearly, your POV characters still.
Yeah, should be interesting. So tomorrow on Christmas Day, we'll get the episode "What If Iron Man Crashed into the Grandmaster," which was that season 1 episode that didn't quite get finished in time, but it was still kind of sort of included within like those last 2 episodes. So that's the one that we'll get tomorrow with that. But that will do it for this episode today, covering What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. So again, we want to thank everyone that joined us and wish everybody a happy holiday and Christmas Eve. And whether you celebrate it tomorrow, if tomorrow is just Monday for you, then happy Monday for you. And you probably maybe hopefully have it off. If you don't, that also sucks, just because it's always nice to have time off. But with that, you guys can also find this part of the episode, or if you're listening to the long form audio version of this in the future, you can find all of that stuff at our website on animationfascination.net. So for myself, for Stanford Clark, which is this way, still figuring out the camera stuff, and for Justin, happy holidays, everybody, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.